Can you start a little faster? Oh, there we go. Hello, hello. I have no energy to do this, so hello. So tonight's episode of Wine and Witches is an alcohol-free one because we're old. That's that's my logic. That's all I got. But I have a special guest with us tonight. So it's usually me and Solitary Luna, but we have Luna Wisdom here because reasons. And we're going to be talking about 3 different subjects tonight, but we're going to start off with the crystal subject. And as we all know, with Wine and Witches, it's a shady-ass fucking good time full of laughs. So if you're not laughing, get the fuck off my channel now. Okay. So, hello, sliding screen door. How are you?
I know.
Somebody
Sorry.
in my live chat.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm going to ask you ladies to tell me when you think of crystals, what is the first thing that pops into your brain aside from ripping off Native American circle things?
Oh, geez. I don't use crystals a whole lot, but I do think a lot about the teachings that I was given by a Cherokee shaman that I studied under for a while.
Okay.
You know, and but crystals are not a common thing I use all the time. So I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I have 1, 2, maybe 2. You know, I have 1 big quartz cluster. I have my pendulum, which is a quartz, and I think I have a moonstone ring.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, the reason that I wanted to talk about crystals is because I have a ton of crystals. Like, I have a ridiculous amount of crystals.
You're the expert tonight, then, Adam.
I know an expert.
Oh, I always knew you were a little bit too new agey.
Well, you know how it is. I gotta roll with them hippy dippies, right, Luna Wisdom? Let's get hippy dippy.
Yeah. And it's funny when you say crystals, I do think of New Age.
Yeah,
that is exactly what I think of as well. There's New Age.
Well, when you go to buy them, it's always at like a New Age shop.
Yes.
You know, that's about the only place you ever find them.
Well, I have a crystal store here in town. It's called Earth Gems, I think it is, and they sell mostly, in fact, nothing but crystals in every size and shape, and like every type of crystal you could name off the top of your head, along with like incense. But like no one cares about incense because fuck incense. But like
I like incense.
Okay, you know what? We're not here to talk about incense tonight, Miss Luna Wisdom. But no, when I think of crystals, not only do I think of this new age mumbo bumbo jumbo bullshit, but I also think of the earth, because where do crystals come from? The earth. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I use crystals for is like a grounding, meditative kind of way. Like if I'm traveling to the astral plane, or if I'm doing any kind of like outside of my body kind of, you know, magical workings, I need to come back from that somehow. And I mean, burning patchouli is great. Sinking your feet into Mother Earth, nature, outside, dirt, probably dog shit is fun. But at the same time, holding a quartz crystal is also very grounding. And I see on YouTube a lot and in social media a lot about crystals. And I'm like, what is the deal with them? Like, I've got these books on crystals, and I'm like, how are they magical? Like, what?
Well, I know that people who follow the chakra use crystals a lot. But when it comes to the craft, I'm really not sure where the connection is unless you're looking at energies. But even that, you're starting to, you know, there's that fine line that you're going into the chakras and that type of stuff. But there's people who really believe that there is a lot of magical properties in the crystals. But like I'm sure you guys know, the real power of the workings comes with the intentions that you're putting into it. You know, you can use the crystals as a tool if you want, but it's not where the true energy is coming from. It's just a place to channel it.
Wouldn't that be said of all tools in the craft then? Like the wand, the besom.
Absolutely.
Well, what I was just thinking, and I totally agree. If I were to use crystals, it's probably more correspondences personally, malachite corresponds with whatever. That's how I would use them. But I mean, if I flip the switch or flip the perspective, I could say that, if I needed to pull energy, I might pull energy from the crystal as an element of earth, like tap into the earth energy and pull it through the crystals. But personally, I actually use stones, not crystals. Like I go outside and I have a little collection of actual different, rocks, not crystals, but rocks that I've gathered at different points in my travels, and they have a specific energy of the location that I pulled it from.
Right.
That's how I use in my craft as opposed to crystals. I don't know. That's just how I roll.
Well, that makes sense because, well, one of the things that I'm really actually confused about is how crystals got into witchcraft at all. Like, did New Age and witchcraft decide to fuck one day, have a baby, and now it's like some crystal magical practice bullshit that nobody gives a fuck about? Because, like, most of the people I talk about, when I talk about crystals, they're like, what the fuck? Nobody uses crystals. Like, what are you, like, crazy? And I'm like, but why? Why can't we use... Well, it's not that we can't, but, like, why is crystals not as big as, say... when Solitary Luna and I talk about incense blends, or why is it not as big as oils or whatever it is that we work with? Like sometimes I'll use tiger eye in a money oil because tiger eye represents with money, but at the same time, like that's like the extent of crystals. But then if we think about it, crystals also have a dark side. That Solitary Luna has talked about with me before about, everything has a dark side. Like, rose can be used in love spells and in cursing. So where do crystals fit into the craft, and why is Pinterest full of altars filled with crystals, which again, Solitary Luna and I have talked about the medicine wheel and how people have their altars all elaborate with all these crystals around and all that. Like, what is the purpose, or is it just a glitzy, glamoury thing, kind of like somebody throwing glitter on their altar and being like, look, I'm a unicorn witch?
Well, I think Pinterest, it's because it's pretty. Yeah. Crystals are pretty.
Yeah, and, sometimes people will look on, especially people who are new or have not done their own research, which is a pet peeve of mine, is the no research aspect of it. I don't care who's new, but they're not willing to do research. I have issues, but you get these ideas, and people do look for the visual aesthetics of it. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's a lot prettier to decorate your altar with those things than to use. Well, like Lunar Wisdom said, the rocks that you find in various locations, those may have a meaning to you, but they don't look as pretty on Pinterest.
I know, right? I think they look pretty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you saw my lava rock collection, you'd
understand. Yeah, that would be beautiful. Are you kidding?
Yeah, but see, some people would look at that and like, they're ugly.
They don't know what beauty is. Fuck them. They don't know what beauty is.
Well, also too, when you talk about energy, how much energy is a piece of lava rock compared to a river stone?
I know, right?
And people don't think about it. But I think that, why it wasn't such a big thing traditionally is because, as you know, they didn't have all the shops where you could go and buy this stuff. They didn't have the online stuff, access to things. People used what they had around them. And not everybody had access to those things.
Okay, so it's more about like a traditional kind of viewpoint of being like,
Right.
You know, my great grandmother from like the 17th century didn't have these things, so like it doesn't make sense, or it doesn't.
No, I'm just saying that the prevalence of it today, in comparison to earlier generations, if you lived in an area where it was easy to find those things, you know, they may have used it.
Mhm.
But I really think that it's more of a this looks pretty. And let's face it, there's a lot of people in the craft that just don't like to even acknowledge that there is a dark and ugly side to it.
Yeah.
They want it to be all happy-go-lucky. Everybody's sitting around the campfire holding hands, singing kumbaya. You know, it's like, oh, get over yourselves. There is a, you know, I've said this time and time again, everything in nature is a balance. There is good and bad in everything. You can take even the most benign thing and turn it into something ugly if you wanted to. You know, there is no, I can't think of anything you can use in the craft that can be only used for good, that can't be used in a curse or something else because of the way you throw the energy with it.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys, if I were to give you a piece of amethyst, just a regular piece of amethyst, and I said, okay, let's curse somebody, and let's say you both were like in agreement of, yeah, we're gonna curse Bob down the street, and it's like, okay, but we can only use this amethyst and like whatever other ingredients you want. How might you go about using amethyst, which everybody knows is like healing and love and like energy of happiness and like shoving a dildo up your ass to like reach your chakras? Like, how would you use something that everybody associates with happiness as something vile and evil? I mean, I would rather use dog shit, but always use amethyst.
Well, okay. Easiest way to do it is you look at what the stone is known for. For example, the healing. Okay. What's the opposite of healing somebody?
Sickness.
Yeah. You know, you just flip it.
I don't know.
It's, you know, it's just like I told you, like with the tarot, how you have the meaning is one thing when it's upright, but when it's reversed, it's another meaning.
Okay. That makes sense.
You know, but what it comes down to is, I mean, I don't care what it is, even like rose quartz, if you wanted to curse it, it's your energy going into it.
Yeah.
You know, that quartz, that rose quartz or that amethyst or whatever isn't going to say, oh, that's not the energy I want, so I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to change your spell to be this.
Well,
that's not where it works.
Yeah, that's where I get a little confused, because all of the books and all of the internet and every YouTube channel that's ever talked about crystals basically states the complete opposite of what you just said, where, you know, rose quartz isn't used for evil and malevolence, you know, like it's used for happiness and love and peace and like unicorn sex. And I'm just like, this doesn't make sense, because everything can be used for evil. Everything.
Well, I think that a lot of times, you know, with the books and everything, you got to remember, no matter what book is out there, it's written from the perspective of that person's opinion.
Yeah.
Based on whatever they've learned. Now, if someone writes a book about crystals and, oh, they can only be used this way, maybe that's because what they've learned from other books about crystals has said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just basically rewording what they've learned. That's why so many books are always, it's like if you read one, you've read them all.
Yeah.
Unless it's that Silver Raven Wolf, whatever the hell her name is. And that, but you know, there's really not a lot of diversity out there on the subjects when you really look into it.
There really isn't.
It's hard. It's really hard to find something that says something different, because it's like once someone has been publishing this stuff, then that becomes the accepted, this is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to deviate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have anything to add there, No Wisdom?
like I said before, I don't really use crystals. I don't really have much of an opinion on them because I don't really use them. I used to back in the day. I was using some crystal grids, small crystal grids, but I never really, I don't know. I had difficulty other than the quartz because I felt like I could use quartz for anything. That was the one stone that was just good for amplifying anything. And that made sense to me because I could look in, they use quartz in watches. They use quartz in, computers. They use quartz in, there was like this real scientific, use for it that made sense to me. But, amethyst, rose quartz, whatever. I mean, they're pretty.
Yeah. Like I have black tourmaline that I place all around my house because it's really great at absorbing negative energy. And I specifically place it around my windowsills and doorways because we got some crazy motherfuckers that live in this building. And one of those crazy motherfuckers got evicted. And it's not me!
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't knock other people for using it. I know they're a popular thing to use. Yeah. I mean, I worked at a metaphysical shop and she sold tons of crystals. I mean, people loved them and, great. They work for you, then use it. I mean, but I just can't. I never really.
So what's a crystal grid then?
Well, I had these geometric shapes, I guess. The Metatron's cube. I had 3. The flower, the flower of life thing. I actually bought these little wooden. They look like coasters almost, with wood burning of these 3 shapes, and the 3 spiral was the other one. I bought them actually from Annika, the Sea Witch. So I ordered them, she made them for me, and I would place small little, the tumbled stones, and I would create a grid, 3 of them. And I used them, I think one I used basically for grounding, one was for communication of higher, spiritual energy, and the other one was for protection. So it was like cleansing, protection. And I had them set up in the old house that I used to live in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. I had them set up there for a while when we first moved in there. But over time, as my practice started changing and transitioning, I just really moved away from that kind of work. And I really only used those grids.
Mm-hmm. About the most I ever used was I had a clear quartz, a rather large piece that was still small enough I could carry it in my pocket. Yeah. And if I knew I was going somewhere where, well, as you know, me and crowds just don't mix. Mm-hmm. I can't stand to be in that cluster of people. So if I was going somewhere where I knew I was going to be in a situation that would be high anxiety for me, and that I would have that as a grounding. Mm-hmm. But then there was one time when I stopped using it, I kind of had to, because I got someone that I was talking to that was really going through a lot of negativity in their life at that time, gave me a hug, and I felt something pop. And after he walked away, when I reached in my pocket, the crystal had a crack all the way down the length of it in the middle. And I thought, okay, that one's no good to me anymore. And I've never replaced it, but so I know that there is some, I think he just drew so much, he's so negative at that time that I think it had an effect, but who's to say, other people may call BS on that, but I don't really care. That's,
We're witches. They can't call BS. We'll curse them.
Throw that amethyst crystal at their head.
Yeah. We have the power of 3 in this live chat. Let's all start rhyming. But so.
Well, if you throw a nice sized rose quartz at it, you could
I know.
Love, right?
That's right. Right.
Yes,
Well,
tough
I've
love.
I've got giant selenite towers. I mean, just,
Especially if they're nice and the chunky, the raw ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cut a bitch.
yeah, it's called tough love.
That's right.
We're showing the love.
That's
I
right.
go around cutting people with these crystals, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm marking you, Cindy Lou Who."
No, it's tough love.
Yeah.
So I have like,
Catch it.
I went through a small phase a couple years ago where I bought a bunch of crystals because I was stupid. There was another witch, you know, like I looked up to, and I decided, you know, I'm going to buy some crystals because they look cool. And she's talked about them in her video. I think it was Lady Grave Dancer. But, and so I decided to buy some crystals. And I mean, I spent a fair pretty penny on crystals. Nothing crazy, but, you know, crystals are not cheap. And the one thing I do buy a lot of, though, from this Earth Gems is, well, I don't buy a lot of it now because it's not something you go through pretty quickly, but sulfur, because I use it in black salt. I don't know why a crystal shop is selling powdered sulfur, but okay, I'm not going to complain. And I love the feeling of quartz crystals, smoky quartz crystals. I used to keep smoky quartz crystals by my bed because they were supposed to help with like dreams and like enhancing dreams and all of that fun stuff. And because I work with the most cryptic of all deities, I have to, you know, use every tool at my disposal to get a clear fucking message. And so sometimes, you know, like I'll use crystals, but like the reason I wanted to talk about crystals, and I knew that neither of you work with crystals or know much about crystals, is because there is this fascination in social media about crystals. And I'm like, do they work? I think there was a scene in my series, The Devil in New Age, where I had posted this piece from this guy's YouTube channel, and he was talking about crystals and how they place it on different parts of the body and energy frequencies and all that stuff. And I'm just curious, do either of you think that crystals work in that kind of way where they can align the energies or fix the energies? Do you think it works?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Does it work for you?
No. That's why I'm
Well,
asking.
then I guess it doesn't work for you. I mean, if someone, my thought is if someone really is buying these crystals with the intention that they are going to work for them, then they're going to work for them.
Yeah, they're working because of the intention.
Yeah.
But isn't it what you said, Solitary, where you had said it's all about the intention and the tool is just a conduit?
Yeah.
So doesn't that mean that crystals don't actually work? It's just the intention you're putting into a tool, like you're just directing your, like you wouldn't even need crystals. You could just put your hand on your head, whatever chakra this is, and be like, ooga booga, I'm fixed now. Like, do you even need a crystal at that point?
Well, I think that, you know, this gets into where is that person's, what's a person's faith in? If they have all their faith in the fact that these crystals will do whatever they're needing them for, and that, you know, and they're putting their intention that this is going to work, then they are putting intention into it. Some people need the ritual.
Okay.
You know, some people just need that ritual of doing this because there's something about it that does ground them to where they can really focus on healing or whatever they're needing. And if they have a strong belief that those crystals will work for that, then they probably do work for them.
Those people are batshit crazy, but that's just my opinion.
I think crystals have, because they're from the earth, there's some sort of energy that they hold. I mean, even if it's just
Right.
earth energy.
Yeah.
And then I think because some of them have different colors, there's correspondence energy in the color, because the colors have vibrational energy. We see certain colors because they have a certain vibrational wave. So, I mean, the crystal itself has some sort of energy. I would say, because I mean, if you take a green crystal, I don't know whatever green crystal, the color green vibrates at a certain energy. The crystal, because it's of the earth, has a certain energy. You could use them as correspondences. And if you're using with the correspondences, if you're setting it up and you believe, you have that intention that this green crystal is going to do X, Y, Z, then itself has a vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
So there's something in the fact of the actual tool, I mean, it helps. It's almost like fine tuning a radio. You can get the station in at 100, but if the actual frequency they're broadcasting is 100.1 and you put something to bring in the 0.1, you're going to get a clearer signal.
That does make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where I question how effective they are is when people use the crystals as though that crystal has all the power and they don't put the intention into it. They trust the stone to do the work.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Like, I think to a certain degree, though, we all put the intentions into the tools that we're using. So, for example, like, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I need to do a binding spell on somebody, and it's going to use these ingredients. Well, as you go to get those ingredients and you pick them up and you're starting to mix them together, you're already putting the intentions into those ingredients that you are going to help me bind whatever it is that I'm binding. So I think that in theory, you could take that same principle and apply it to any tool that you use, because when we are about to do spell work and we're gathering our material, we are kind of subconsciously putting that intention into the tools.
Right, but how much more effective is it when you actually take the time to focus?
That is true.
On that, to actually put that energy and intention into the object. And so, because you can have someone who, using sickness as an example, you can have someone who's sick, be given an amethyst bracelet to wear to keep it close to them, or whether it be a pendant or a bracelet, whatever, and that with the intent that this is going to heal you. This is going to help heal you. Well, they might accept it on face value that that's going to work, but well, amethysts are supposed to be healing, so this is going to do it. There's a difference between that and then taking that amethyst and putting the actual intentions into it and taking that time to really focus on it before you wear it.
So you're kind of just like unlocking the inner power of the crystal then.
Okay, to me, it makes about as much sense to put the intention into it as, let me reword this. It makes as much sense to me if you get a crystal, like an amethyst or something for healing, and that to expect it to help you with even though you've had the intent, because I'm going to buy an amethyst for healing. Okay. All right. How effective would you be getting a job if you say, oh, well, I'm going to light a green candle to get me a job?
What motherfucker would you do before that? Did you put out any resumes?
Exactly. But see that, when we put our intention in, and that to me, that is just as equal as doing the mundane. If you're really sick and you need to be taking some medication for it, you can surround yourself with amethyst, but if you don't have the, if you don't have the right medication, you're not going to get better. you
So
know.
are you telling me that if I take an amethyst dildo and shove it up my ass, it's not going to cure my colorectal cancer? The hell kind of chat is this?
I don't know if I necessarily would view it as putting the intention in the crystal, but putting the intention in your actions in obtaining it. Because like I said, I personally, I think that the crystal itself has some sort of energy. And I think, like Adam had said, unlocking that with your intention. Like it's one thing to just be given an amethyst by someone who really believes that, amethyst holds this magical power of healing. And they give it to me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, thank you. I'll wear it. I'll wear it because you gave it to me, not because I think the amethyst is going to cure me. I think that would be one thing, as opposed to you gave it to me because you really believe it. And I accept it because, oh, yes, amethyst is this magical stone. Yes. So we're both really intending that this object that has some energy of its own is going to heal me. I think that would be more powerful than me saying, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it'll heal me. And I put it on. I think that's the two differences there.
Yeah. Well, my point was just that, that you can go and buy the crystal, and like you said, they do have their own energies and that their own vibrations of their own. But if you want to get the most out of it, you have to take the time to put some intention into it, more than just going and picking it out at the store or whatever. You need to really, I think the more intention you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
That makes sense, because now this is going to lead me down a rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole is this. So we as witches and bitches and dirty little itches, I like to rhyme. We as witches like to believe that, assuming we've done all the mundane, and I'll use cancer as an example. No, that's something you can't cure with witchcraft. The common cold. So we as witches have all of these like remedies for the common cold, and we believe that they work, and sometimes we might do spell work or whatever the case may be. But it sounds to me, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me that we don't hold crystals in the same way that we hold our spell work. Because we do our spell work, we see the results, but if somebody gives you an amethyst crystal and you're a witch and maybe you believe in crystals or maybe you don't, or whatever the case may be, crystals in themselves are supposed to be, or at least what the internet and every book and YouTube channel ever has taught us, is supposed to be inherently magical. So if we're sitting here and we're discussing that if we don't put the intentions into the crystal, it's not as effective or not effective at all. But like this is a rabbit hole of, okay, wait, we believe in like invisible energy that will give us a job, but we don't hold crystals up here as well. They're like second or third class citizens. So I'm really confused.
I think it depends on the witch.
Yeah.
I think you'll find some witches out there that do believe that crystals inherently have a magical property. They're magical beings that with spiritual entities living inside I think it depends on the witch.
I don't believe that they have spiritual entities living inside of them. I think the witch that believes that's a little batshit crazy, but
I think you'll find witches that believe that. I mean, I could use a crystal to be a vessel.
That's where I was going with
what or an entity that I've created.
Definitely store things in crystals.
Yes, yes, I believe that.
Well, I think too, it just comes down to, the individual's practice and where they are in their journey. And, if I were to go to the store and get some crystals and suddenly decide, okay, my stuff doesn't work anymore, I'm going to use crystals, I'm crazy to do that, because I know what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I can't go and incorporate some of that in, but usually witches will pretty much stick with what they know works. you know, and if crystals have worked for them, then that's fine. And that I just know that for me, it's just not really been a big part of my path.
Yeah.
Me too.
No, it makes sense. Okay. Has anybody been looking at chat?
I'm a moderator. Of course, I've been looking at chat.
I have not been looking because
I told them you haven't been looking.
Oh, kinky. Okay.
You know it. Kink City.
Has anybody asked any questions?
They asked about crystal grids, but we kind of talked about that. Someone just said, so there's some people that do believe that crystals themselves are powerful, that they hold energy, scientifically hold energy, and that when mixed with their own energy and their own power, they are very powerful. And like I think all of us have agreed that, you know, if they work for you, they work for you. I mean, who are we? Who am I to say, no, they don't work for you?
Yeah. I mean, I would never outright tell somebody they don't work for you because that's just mean. But I might be like, you might want to see a special head doctor. And that's only because when people bring science into these things, I'm like, can you point me to a paper? Well,
like I had mentioned, they use quartz crystals in watches.
Yeah.
They use quartz crystals in, I believe, some lasers and computers. You know, the lasers in the computer. They use quartz crystal. There is reasons why they're used.
Yeah.
But that's quartz.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I was going to say, hey, that's just quartz. Let's talk.
That's why I use quartz. They amplify energies. They've been scientifically shown to amplify energy. That's why they use the quartz crystals.
Have you guys ever used a crystal ball?
I have a crystal ball.
But have you used it?
Yes, I have. For scrying.
Okay, how do you scry into a crystal ball? When I sit there and stare at it and like focus on it and try and receive a message, it's just a crystal ball.
Well, because you're not doing it right.
Well, excuse me, Silver Raven Wolf. Let me pull the stick out of my ass. Oh, hey,
let me do it for you. Bend over, babe.
Okay. Oh, this chat's just getting. Wait. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 holes in this chat.
Oh my god. In the holes, man.
And I've got 3 pussies in my house, and I've stroked them all.
Ooh, kinky.
Yeah, I'm babysitting my friend's cat right now, and I've got 2 cats in my room and 1 cat out here, and I have to switch them every day, and I'm just like, oh my god, somebody take this 3rd cat away. Like, I want my house back.
3 pussies are just too much for you.
I know, it's like, it's a big old puss fest over here, and I'm like, Jesus, can we have a sausage fest? Okay, so we've exhausted crystals, so I'm going to move on to our other topic.
Yay.
Is social media making witchcraft a motherfucking trend? And the Queen says yes. It is. It's a trend. It's a trend among bored housewives and fucking teenage girls. Discuss.
So where do you fit in those two dynamics? I'm
both. I am a bored housewife who works at home all day, cleaning the house, waiting for a man to come home who's never going to come home because he doesn't even exist. And I'm a teenager who's broken and damaged and rebelling against his mother. Hello, Lunar Wisdom. How you doing? And I'm just like, I'm going to use witchcraft, motherfucker, and I'm going to wear all black and yeah.
People are complaining that the 3 of us are talking and that no one really is replying to them in chat. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I'm on a phone. That's how I access the chat.
But no one's really asking questions.
But that's why I can't respond to anybody.
And I'm avoiding chat because last time me and Solitary Luna were here, some asshole made 50 different fucking thousand accounts, and I'm like, fuck this shit. So I made Lunar Wisdom a moderator, and if there's questions, I'm sure she'll be like, everybody shut the fuck up, there's a question.
Yeah, nobody's really asking questions. They just tell Adam I said hi. Adam, please say hi to chat.
Hello, chat. How are you, you fucking needy cunt? Now watch our viewers. drop off. Like,
I know, right. Oh yeah, where's that number? I don't even.
it should be like if you like. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see any.
I don't have a number. Somebody in chat tell us how many people there are. Start counting. But yeah, going back to my is witchcraft a trend? So I've already explained where I fit in on this and what I think of this, and then I said discuss.
Well, I don't know.
I know. I agree. I don't know.
I really don't participate much in the community to be able to tell.
I do
know that when it comes into like the videos that are done, and that, you know, like you've brought up before, you know, if it seems like somebody will come out with something and then it seems like there's an explosion of other videos coming out on the same thing.
This is why I wonder if it's a trend.
That's where it gets a little trendy, but I don't know. But as far as people who are really invested in the craft in their life, I don't know if that in itself is becoming a trend.
If they're so invested, why are they posting their altar all over Instagram every other day? No, this is not shade at you, Lunar Wisdom, because you've only.
I was just gonna say, wait a minute. I just posted a picture of my altar on Instagram.
Yeah, but that's different.
He's calling me out. Fuck you, Adam. Fuck you.
No, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. But no, like
I will later. But
you have a husband. Ew. Well,
he went to bed already.
Oh God, old.
I know.
I tell you.
I know.
Isn't he like in his 30s?
Yes. He has to get up early for his last couple of days at the old job.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Well, there's a three-hour time difference.
Yeah, we're gonna switch topics for a second because
no, we're gonna go back to talking about witchcraft here.
When she told me that he was forced to quit, there's a vast difference there.
You didn't answer my question. You need to explain yourself. So go back with your little fingers on your little keyboard and go.
Because I got pissed off and I was like, "Fuck this! She's never gonna get it." And I was like, no, there's a vast difference.
No, there's not. But we're not talking about that on your live stream, Adam. We are talking about witchcraft being a trend. Yes.
A trend? No. You're all trendy.
What? I am not. I am not trendy. I am not at all.
And Solitary Luna's just sitting there being like, y'all been idiots.
No, because I know how your and my chats go.
Welcome to Wine and Witches, where nobody's drunk yet. But no, okay, seriously though, like when I came into the YouTube sphere, I didn't really know much about the online presence of witchcraft. Like I used to be a part of a few Yahoo groups. Does anybody here remember Yahoo groups?
Mm-hmm.
Like the fucking giant emails you would get of like everybody and their mother's dog replying to something, and you're like, God, people, shut the fuck up. But you know, like at that point, like the internet wasn't really like, it was the mid to late 2000s. Like the internet wasn't new; it was old, but. Like, you know, and then YouTube came around and there was like a witchy community that started at some point to evolve. And as Solitary mentioned, you know, sometimes people will talk about a subject and everybody and their mother's dog jumps on it. Hello, Hecate, how are you? And it's like, where exactly, like, where is the line between, okay, Popular Witch A brought up this topic, so let's all talk about it, and Popular Witch brought up this topic, let's all jump on the bandwagon. Like, where is that line, or does that line even exist? Because when I look at witchcraft today, especially Facebook groups, Instagram, YouTube specifically, all I see is a fucking trend of teenagers who want to get involved in witchcraft. Like Ember Honeyraven doesn't even post spell videos because one of her concerns that she used to have, and I don't know if she still has it, was that young people get their hands on this information and then they get themselves hurt. And, you know, I tried to explain to her, I was like, that's not your problem, that's theirs. And it's like, is it a trend, or is it, you know, social media is just giving us a greater access to a broader community? Because if you're really invested in the craft, do you need to be on social media promoting the fact that you're really invested in the craft all the time? Like, where is the line here with all the fuckery?
Okay, there are people in chat. Hold on. I need to tell you what they're saying because they're getting a little pissy.
Seriously?
Yes, because I'm not communicating to you what they want to say because you're not looking at chat.
Well, I'm too busy bitching.
Okay. Jen, the taxidermy witchifer, I think. What we all want answered is that I'm here to try to communicate with Adam. So she wants to communicate with you. So you're not chatting in chat. So that's what she wants. She wants to communicate with you.
Okay.
And then Luana's Corner. Lunar, may I say to Adam, and Jen the taxidermy says, good luck, babe. I've tried on about 10 live streams, no luck. I don't know what that means. Luana's Corner says, it's a trend, but many will find their way to their truth through it, and some will stay, but they will fall off for those who don't want to stay. I think that's in regards to is witchcraft trendy or not?
Okay, well, people already know why I don't look at chat because I'm too busy in the live stream to be focusing on chat. Second of all, I don't know who this taxidermy person is. I think I've seen them in my live chat like once or twice, and I shouldn't have to explain myself, but okay. And third of all, I don't know where I was going with any of this. But what I can say is thank you for the input, people. So we know where chat stands on witchcraft being a trend, but I don't know where either of you ladies stand because I don't know.
I think some of the posts can become a trend. It's like I said, somebody posts something and then all of a sudden it seems like there'll be an explosion of that topic for a little while. And then you have the next topic of the week or whatever. But that's not much trend I see.
I mean, in general, okay, so my daughter just turned 17 and she loves shopping at Hot Topic. And I can tell you that I get a little annoyed when I go into Hot Topic with her and I see like pentacles and pentagrams and the Black Witchcraft line of clothing and accessories. Obviously, those are trendy.
Yeah.
They're trendy. But I feel like stores like that, like Hot Topic, have always been like trying to be kind of gothic, trendy, witchy kind of stuff.
When I think of Hot Topic, I think of 17-year-old girls dressed scantily clad going to high school. I don't think of witchcraft.
Well, they have like this witchcrafty line. It's called, I think it's called Black Craft or Black Witchcraft or something like that. They're cute. The clothes and the purse that's a circle with a pentacle. It's cute. But are the girls that are buying that really focused on witchcraft, or are they? I mean, you may find 1 in 10 maybe like, oh, it's trendy and I can like express myself without people really think I am really interested, kind of like that. I'm interested in witchcraft, but I don't want people really to know, but I kind of want them to, but not, that kind of, that kind of give and take.
Yeah, it's that line where, when you're a teenager, you want to rebel against your parents, but you still want to get good. You still want to get good grades. You want to date the bad boy, but you still want to go to Harvard.
Yes.
You like party with your friends and do cocaine, but you still want to go to law school. Like that type of bullshit.
Yes, it's that kind of thing, I think, that you'll get 1 in 10 maybe, or maybe more. What do I know? I'm so far removed from that age bracket at this point.
Oh, come on.
Well, you said I'm old.
But I'm ancient.
But yeah, whatever.
We've had this conversation. I'm older than you.
No, you're not. I'm your elder. You must listen to me.
I'm older than the point of singularity, and you said that you came like after the point of singularity.
No. No, we talked about this. But anyway, so I think there may be a few that of those young girls that go in there that think that, I'm reading Scott Cunningham, nobody knows, but look at it's trendy. I'm wearing this because it's trendy, not because I really want to know the real stuff. I don't know. It annoys me a little bit because I never saw witchcraft as trendy,
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's kind of where I was going with this topic, is that you've got your shows like Charmed and the new Charmed and Supernatural, which is ending next year, and I'm pissed off and happy at the same time. And you've got like The Order, and you've got Vampire Diaries, and any magical show on TV you can think of. And yeah, that too. And it makes witchcraft seem cool and awesome. And then and it's like, that's not the reason to get into it. That's not the reason, or you see Lady Gravedancer on YouTube and you're like, oh, she's so magical, I want to be magical like that. Like that's not the reason to get into witchcraft, and that's what makes me think it's a trend. I'm not saying that Lady Gravedancer has made witchcraft a trend for people who are about to fucking backlash in the chat, fuck yourselves. But at the same time, it's like witchcraft is not meant to be a trend, but in our day and age, and with all this social media and this exposure to witchcraft, I mean, it's not in the mainstream media as much. I mean, here or there, a snippet once or twice a year, but it's in the witchy community, it seems like it's become a trend. It seems like it's become the new cool thing to do. And that's what bugs the fuck out of me. Like Sephora tried to do a witchcraft makeup thing. I think it was Sephora. And Lunar Wisdom was saying Hot Topic, and
right.
It bugs me. It pisses me off, because this is something that I take very seriously. I take this as serious as a diehard Catholic takes their religion, right? And when I see people treating it like it's a toy or like it's something they can pick up and then put down, it's like, motherfucker, I'm gonna take a Louisville Slugger to your kneecaps.
Well, I wonder if, in that dynamic of the ones that are picking it up as a trend, using your trend as a method of wording this, I wonder if in some cases it isn't just, people experimenting to find themselves.
Mm.
I mean, it's like, okay, if they are disillusioned with Christianity, for example, and they want to, and it's like, well, I know that that's not for me. What about this?
Yeah.
So there's that bit of, they're in the process of finding their path. They're willing to try different ones to see which one resonates. Yeah. And that, so I don't want to discount, all of them, especially the younger ones, because, they are at the age of trying to find out, what are their beliefs? Where do they fit in?
Yeah, and that makes sense, because I've stated this before in other videos, where witchcraft at its core, at least for me and in my opinion, it brings out both sides of you. It brings out a very darker aspect of you, and I'm not talking about curses and hexes and all that bullshit. I'm talking about all the things you've been suppressing or not dealing with, or whatever the case is, or that you're having issues identifying with, or whatever. And it also it helps you to navigate that. But when I say trend, I'm thinking of people who have watched the latest Charmed episode, or they've watched the latest Sabrina episode on Netflix, and they're like, oh, I really want to get into this because it looks cool. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you doing this right? I think you need to evaluate your life choices if your first thought is, I want to get into this because it's cool.
Well, that's something, I don't think whatever belief system you have should be done just because you think it's cool. But also, too, they have to be realistic and understanding that the stuff that happens on Charm is a lot of special effects.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially when it comes to like the lighting and everything else of stuff going on. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on shows that just don't happen, you know. And
are you kidding me? I just had Prue and Phoebe in here the other day, and we vanquished the Source.
Damn, you badass, Adam.
Yeah, and I slay vampires, and I have sex with Dean occasionally.
You actually banished the Source.
Yes.
Damn,
You okay, you finally flushed your toilet?
Ah.
Well, you know, after about 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
Either that or cleaned out the cat box.
Oh, I've got 2 cat boxes, and I've got to clean them tomorrow and keep all the cats separate at the same time. And I'm like, motherfucking kill me. Has everybody left chat yet, Lunar Wisdom?
No, they are just saying they really wished you were more reachable because they like your energy, and they really just showed up because they want to interact with you, and they're sad because you're not interacting with them.
Jesus, why don't you get this much hate on your live chats?
I don't know.
I'm always accessible, people. I'm always on YouTube.
Well, then why are you not chatting if you're accessible and reachable?
Because I'm chatting with you people.
And that's what they're upset about. They want you to be chatting with them, not with us.
This is a special guest. They're not my special guest. You are.
Yeah. Now they're going to hate me even more.
Nah, don't worry. They'll hate me more. Are you kidding me? I tell them to get the fuck off my channel every other day.
I know. They love it.
So the consensus I'm getting is that witchcraft isn't really a trend. Like, there's trendy parts to it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think witchcraft is meant to be a trend, but like almost anything, general society, they do what the fuck they want with whatever they want and disregard that it could be possibly a real life for people. I think right. They look at the Hollywood version, and then they hear someone talk about maybe being a witch, or they go to a Salem, Massachusetts, and they think it doesn't hold value or meaning for some of us. I think they think it's trendy, it's fun.
Well,
kind of.
But see, this is the other thing, is like if we were all Christians right now in this live chat, and this was a Christian channel, and we were talking about trends in Christianity, it wouldn't be a conversation, because when people go to God, that's like everybody's like super supportive and super happy. And what you see in the YouTube community, though, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, is that when there's new witches that come in or whatever, it's like they're not taken as seriously, and they're not welcomed as seriously, because it's like, oh, you're just like young and you're just exploring or whatever. But if this was a Christian community, everybody would be like arms wide open singing Creed. Like, I'm really confused. Like, why is it that other religions, whether they have this conversation or not, it's not as prevalent than this conversation in the witchy community? Because is it that witchcraft isn't a real religion? Like, I know Wicca is, but like I'm confused, because mainstream religion is like, this is not a trend. If you're doing this, this is like your lifestyle, right? And so
I think you can find individuals who may call themselves Christian, but still wear it like a trend. I think, I think you can. I don't think it's the majority. But then again, I don't think witchcraft is made to be the majority. Witchcraft is very niche. Yeah. There is very few who truly walk the crooked path. Most people take the path that's well worn because their mother was Christian, because their great-grandmother was Christian, because they were born into Christianity. They know nothing except Christianity, and they don't want to know anything but, but that's okay, because I don't think real witches want to be a majority. We don't want to be a majority.
No, but we should be taken seriously.
I don't care if people don't take me seriously. Fuck them. Fuck them.
It actually does bug me when I tell.
Why do you care, Adam?
Well, if you would let me get to that. Why don't you go back to read Pissed Off?
All right, I'll go read the chat.
The Pissed Off chat, not just the chat. But okay, so when I think of witchcraft and I tell people whether I'm dating them or whether they're my friend or whatever, and they're not in the witchy community, like they're either not religious or they're Christian or whatever, doesn't matter. When I tell them that I practice witchcraft, the vast majority of them think that I'm lost, whether they're Christian or not. Like they could, like one of my friends is not any religion at all, and they think that I'm lost, that I'm confused, and that I'm going down a dark path. And I think the reason is because—
Are you sure they're referring to your witchcraft?
Yes. What else would they— Are you making a crack at my homosexuality?
Would I do that?
Oh, I'm gonna come through that screen, little sister.
Ooh, I'm scared. You really went dark there. I'm scared.
Well, he is a bit confused. I mean,
I know, right?
He's gay, but he strokes pussies all the time.
I know.
I'm gonna have less vaginas in my chat next time. 1970s bullshit's going on over there. But like when I tell people this and they think it's like a joke, or they think it's like not real, or they question, they're like, oh, like how is that real? Like, does it even work? Like, what are you doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Or like some of them get like really fucking crazy. Like I went on this date with this guy a while back, and I was drunk and decided to tell him that I practice witchcraft because alcohol makes everybody say everything. And he literally looked at me like I was some sort of batshit insane person who should have been put back into the insane asylum. Now he's probably right. The sex was great, but he was probably right. But at the same time, it's like, if I were to tell these people I was a Christian, nobody would bat their fucking eyeballs. But you tell people you're a witch, and they think it's not real. And it's
So
like,
what?
take. Like, I take a Christian seriously, so why can't people take whatever religion you are? Why can't you take me seriously? These are my beliefs.
Because look at. Half the time I don't take you seriously.
You're both bitches.
No. Witches. Witches.
Bitches, witches, dirty old itches. It don't matter to me. You could be a gonorrhea itch for all I care. But like, seriously, like, why is it when you tell people you're a witch that they don't take you seriously?
Why do you care?
It affects me. This is a therapy session now, okay?
Right. So why do you care?
Because it affects me in the same—
How? Why? Why does it affect? Why do you allow it to affect you?
Look at the mainstream society. Okay, mainstream society is one of 4 religions nowadays. Technically 3, but okay. And if you're not a part of the society, people look at you differently and weird.
So what?
It affects me.
Why do you want to be? You want to be part of that mainstream society?
Well, yeah, with the house and the suburbs and the white picket fences and the Escalade and the beautiful man and the dog and 3.4 children.
Then you do it. If that's really what you want, if you want to be part of that mainstream society, then become part of that mainstream society. As for me, I don't want to be fucking part of that mainstream society. I like being out on the outskirts. I like being the one looking in and laughing at that shit.
Yeah, but this still doesn't answer my question of why people don't take us witches seriously and think we're just playing or dabbling or that it's a trend.
You got to ask them, because they're the only ones that are going to be able to give you the truthful answer as to why they're not taking you seriously. I don't ask them because I don't want to fucking know. They can take me however they want to take me. And in any way that they take me, however they're going to view me is going to be the way I want them to view me. I'd rather them view me as strange and odd and unpredictable, because that gives me all the cards. It gives me all the power. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Good, motherfucker.
Yeah, but you're once you get to know you, you're completely predictable and not sure.
But how many people really know me? I select the individuals who really know me.
Do you?
I do. I'm not stupid.
Are you?
I'm not stupid.
No, you're friends with me. That's got to bring.
I'm not stupid.
I love how you're sitting there and you're like, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. And I'm like, you're friends with me. What's that?
I'm not. That says something. So you should be. You're privileged.
Woman, you better check your privilege.
I know, right?
Okay. Has anybody asked any questions?
They just want you to love them.
Jesus.
Seriously. No hate, all love. They just want you to talk to them.
Well, how about chat start asking some damn questions that I can answer?
They're really just making comments on what we're talking about. People think that witchcraft is overcooling tranny. Oh yeah, Hollywood, everything. I don't know, but they don't realize that it's real magic. They don't understand that witchcraft is real. They love your attitude. How can it be a trend? Look at history.
Is it real though? Is
witchcraft real?
Hey, I'm putting this question out there, and I know it's gonna sound really fucking bizarre. Okay, I know it's.
And you want us to take you seriously?
Yes.
You say you're gonna put out really fucking bizarre questions or thoughts, and you want us to take you seriously? Do you see the contradiction here?
This is backed up by personal experience, okay?
No.
Can I put this out there?
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, I want to invite
you're already out
to
there.
my channel.
Right.
Let's get 3 pussies in here. Oh my god, I'm gonna get kicked off YouTube for this live chat. Or I'm gonna wake up in the morning and we're gonna have 1 subscriber. Okay, so here's my bizarre, random thought on me asking if witchcraft is real, even though I'm a practicing witch, which is completely contradictory to everything I'm about to say. So y'all remember back when I was looking for a job and it took me like almost 6 months to find it, and I was working with specific goddesses whose names we shall not name, and specific demons that we all know about, and so on and so forth. And all of my spell work felt like I was throwing paint at a brick wall. Like I was just never going to get through. And somehow I was always making it from 1 month to the next with just enough money to scrape by. And then all of a sudden this job lands, another job lands, and things are starting to work itself out. And part of me is like, yes, that is all of the spell work that I've been doing and all of the magic that I've been doing and all of the work that I've been doing, both mundane and magically. But at the same time, another piece of me was like, I was rock bottom. And it's like the universe or something. I don't know. Like for like a week after I accepted this job offer, like I kept questioning if it was real, if I did this. And it's I've never had this point in my entire life before where I've questioned my own craft, because usually when I do a money spell and money lands in my lap, I'm like, yeah, my magic works, motherfucker, like go fuck yourself. But you know, like this one just made me really question everything. And it wasn't because I had done all the magic and I had watched it manifest. It was the way it manifested. It was like, no. Everything you're doing, you can go fuck yourself. This one's going to work itself out when it works itself out. And I'm like, well, then, like, is that, like, is any of this real? Like, am I having the existential crisis? Like, what the fuck is going on? So this is why I asked this question, if is witchcraft real? Because if it is, why the hell was I having an existential crisis for a fucking week?
Because you're fucking crazy.
Well, nobody asked you.
Yes, you did.
Premature midlife crisis.
That's right.
Okay, I'm 30. How the hell am I having a midlife?
Yeah, exactly. That's why she said premature.
Well, she didn't follow with ejaculation, so that didn't work.
Premature midlife crisis.
But like, seriously, over a job that lands in my lap after not having one for almost 6 months, like.
I know. Seriously, Adam, come on now.
And
premature midlife crisis. What's wrong with you?
Nobody has midlife crisis. They're all excuses. But like.
Okay, so what's your excuse?
My excuse is I'm asking you people what the fuck is going on.
You can't ask us what's going on inside of you. This sounds like a shadow work session.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the grimoire is for.
Well, then maybe you better start making some more episodes because you need to explore this for yourself.
Yeah, and next time don't challenge the universe with you know, the whole make my life in a better situation, because they'll drop everything on you they'll tear you down to build you up.
That's right. You know this too, Adam. You got what you asked for, honey.
This specific lady that I work with, I expected when you ask her and you ask Chronic, because they're twinsies, to like get you a job and like fix your financial situation. I expected them to be like, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna fuck your entire life up. But like, you know, when you ask that, they also usually have you do spell work, and they usually have you do rituals and other stuff like that. And like, you know, it just went dead silent. And it was like, okay, what is going, like, why? Like, this has been months now. Like, what the fuck?
That's your trial.
Yeah.
Are you truly worthy of what you're about to receive? Are you able to sit and do nothing? Silence and stillness are great lessons, and maybe that's what you needed.
I was mostly taught patience. And then
patience, stillness, silence, no action, stagnation. What do you do in those situations?
I'm a control freak.
And that's why you got nothing, and then bam.
Well, so too, you have to, you know, you had to go through the process. Do I really have faith in this process?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't for the longest time. I really fucking didn't. Because
that might be why it took the longest time.
I know. See?
Like, it's so hard because I kept seeing the Temperance card come up. I kept seeing like the 9 of Wands upside down. I kept seeing the Tower card upside down. And lately I've seen the Tower card upright. And I'm like, great, my financial situation's going to shit, but at least it's balancing itself out slowly. And
there you go.
Like, all of this is like, and I don't know if the goddess is known for making people have existential crises in their lifestyle, but like, I was like literally like for a week after I signed the papers, I was like, how, what? Like, did my magic work? Like that's the only time I've ever questioned my craft, which leads me to ask you guys if you've ever questioned your craft. And yes, chat, you can fucking answer that question.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm assuming neither of you women have ever questioned your craft.
Oh, I have, but then I realized that the work that I was doing wasn't really on my behalf. It was on someone else's behalf. And even though it appeared that this person wasn't aligned with what they were asking for, there were really personal blockages in place that I could not help them unblock. It was work they had to do internally themselves. Once they did that work, once they opened up the, you know, path of least resistance, then we were actually able to work on it and manifest what they wanted. But, you know, looking at someone else and someone else's situation, and even through conversations and they say what they want, and the vibration, yes, this is what they want. But then, you know, it was difficult to actually see the internal stuff. Even though they wanted it, they had these beliefs in place or these ideas that they needed to deconstruct before they were truly able to receive what was trying to be given to them. It just wasn't, there was this,
I swear to God, the goddess just spoke through you to me to explain the existential crisis.
Well, the goddess works and speaks in places you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumb bitch. Not you, her.
Oh yeah, me too, though. Seriously.
Yeah. Dealing with other people's free will is one of the hardest things, and that can make you question a lot. And that because you can be doing everything you can, but when you have other people's free will involved,
even when
they come up the works,
right, and even when they think they're giving consent, they're saying, yes, this is what I want. Here, please help me, and you're like, yes, and you know them really well, like them, and it looks like that they're doing the work, but you're outside of it. No matter how close you are with someone, you're still not them. So it looks like, and you can read their energy, and you pull the cards, and everything says yes, do it. But it's as much a learning experience it was for me as it was for them. Together we learned, and I learned that sometimes it's just not going to manifest, and I got to be okay with that.
Yeah, and then there's the times where you think everything's going to work out. You've got you're doing everything you can. They're saying everything right, but it's like, I want this, but I'm not willing to give this up to get it. And that thing they're not willing to give up might be the thing that's holding them back.
That's one of the questions that I had a really hard time struggling with, because when I was going through this whole job situation, first I thought I was cursed. Like, I thought some dumb bitch on the fucking internet had actually managed to cast magic at me that was literally making it impossible for me to find a job. Like, I literally was panicking and like freaking out, and I was doing all of these like reversal spells, not for like curses, but like reverse my luck. Like, I would use those reversal candles to reverse my luck to help me find a job. And like for a week it would work, and I would get all these interviews and people seemed really interested and wanted to hire me. And then, I would do these after I got home from the interviews. I would evaluate the situation and see if magic could be used to, force their hand to speed up the process to give me the job. And it was such a strong, like, discontent about my craft. Like, I got to this point where I felt like nothing was working, that like I was angry, I was pissed off, I was sad, I was bawling my eyeballs out half the time. Like, I was worried I was going to lose my place, that I was going to, be homeless or have to move in with one of my friends. And I remember saying, I am not going to give up the roof over my head. I will sell my fucking corpse on the street if I have to. I will not give up my independence for a job. Like, it's just one thing I would never do. And thankfully I didn't have to. But I think the biggest lesson that I had to learn was patience, that things will work themselves out and things are going to be okay. Being a Virgo and being somebody who's growing up in very dark periods of childhood, I learned that I always had to be in control of every situation, because I could control the outcome, I could control the input, I could control the feedback, everything. And to go through this experience and have the goddess basically rip all of that away from me and be like, you're not in control, nothing is in control. And like, to have Clonic rip away all of that financial control and be like, you're not in control, like, we are in control and we say what goes and what doesn't. Like, that was the most terrifying experience in my entire life, because I had to give up the one thing that I've always treasured, that sense of control, because it's the thing that I've never had growing up.
Well, even, I remember, in some of our conversations, I mean, I think the loss of control and the timing in which it happened was another big issue that you really struggled with.
Yeah, especially.
Because, you wanted it to happen just boom, 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 and it didn't happen that way.
Right.
It dragged on. And, and when you were talking about how you were doing the reversal,
yeah,
things, I thought, oh, I wonder how many times things were setting up, and then you did that reversal of fortune thing and set it back.
I know, right?
Well, I always did it with the intention of reversing my luck because I always thought I was in shitty luck. Like, no,
yeah, I know, but if I wonder if there was times during that when things were, it's like, okay, these jobs are not the ones you're supposed to get. There's something better coming, and then you did that reversal and set it back.
I know. I was just thinking, it's almost like
your own biggest obstacle.
Yeah, it's like flipping over the timer before all the sand had run out.
Yeah,
you just flipped it up and had to start the clock back again.
Mm-hmm.
The other
Chat says, okay, flamboyant, Fearin, Lilith, Satan, Set, Witch. What a freaking long name. I have questioned my magic a couple of times. So there's one. Jen, the taxidermy witchifer. You are so kind to the people in your chat. Heart, 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 heart. Contestable. I'm currently questioning my path. Lady Witch, all the time. I am a control freak too, and patience is not my virtue. And Karen Gerlinger agreed with you as well.
I love how people love my abuse. They're like, "Oh, you're so lovely to your chat, heart to heart," and I'm sitting over here being like, "You're all a bunch of fucking cunts."
I know, they're masochists.
Yes, I know, right? Like, I feel like Ember Honeyraven with whips, chains, and candle wax. She's apparently doing a sex magic thing on her Patreon, which everybody should subscribe to and go and watch. But yes, I like to promote other people's channels because I'm not going anywhere.
But one day I'll have a channel that actually has something more than one video.
I went to your channel and there's no videos.
There's no videos on it now?
Did you delete your video?
No, I haven't. No, I had one video got deleted quite a while back, and then now this one. Okay.
Oh no.
YouTube hates you for some reason.
Evidently.
Oh.
They must know I hang out with you too much.
Oh God.
Oh my God, my channel's in jeopardy. Holy shit, that would suck.
If I get all the popular witches on my channel and then their channels get deleted, ooh, I will be the reigning motherfucking queen. White Witch Parlor, I'm coming for you. Get over. Be my friend.
Boo hoo.
But yeah,
there he goes, wanting to be part of the mainstream again.
Shut up. But the other issue that I really struggled with during that job period was the fact that A, I'm a man, and B, I've always grown up with media portraying into my brain that men are supposed to be the breadwinners. Not necessarily saying that women can't be, so all of you feminists calm the fuck down. But that's the envision that I grew up with. And to go 5-6 months without a job and no stability and no income and wondering how am I going to pay rent, how am I going to get groceries, and depending upon other people for help is not my ideal life situation. And it's funny because my current job is working from home. And I remember the entire time I was looking for a job, I kept screaming at the goddess, I want an office job. I want a job that gets me out of the house. And she, I guess she was just like, nope, you get this one. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, because she doesn't want you part of the mainstream out there.
You are an evil human being.
You know it.
She doesn't want him out there, or she's protecting everybody else.
Oh, that's true. Well, it's a two-way. It's a win-win. We protect Adam and keep him away from the mainstream.
Well, if she was protecting everybody else, this live chat would have ended hours ago because she would have found a way to end it.
How do we know we're still live?
Oh, God, good question. I'm just kidding. So the other topic I wanted to talk about is altars. Okay, we all have one. Fucking raise your hand if you don't have one, and if you don't have one, get the fuck up. You have an altar. Calm the fuck down. You have one too. People, you have an altar. I know you do.
Only when I'm working it.
Well, okay, well, it's still an altar. I mean, it may not be out all the time, but it is still an altar that you have and you set up when you do whatever it is that you do with it.
Well, but it's not a real altar because it doesn't look like all these pretty ones that everybody posts.
Well, then I guess you're just not a real witch.
Mine isn't that pretty. Mine's practical.
Yeah.
Practical witchcraft.
Yep.
Stop promoting our show, which I'm ripping off next year.
I know you are, but you asked. Yay.
But anyway.
Permission to rip this off. Granted.
Well, it wasn't really a rip-off. It's like a spin-off. I'm doing a spin-off.
Granted.
36 episodes again. Ever.
You what?
I'm never doing 36 episodes again.
I know. What the fuck was I thinking? I'm not doing 36 episodes either. Ever.
But so going back to altars, like when I think of an altar, I think of a church altar. I don't think of a witchcraft altar. And when I do think of a witchcraft altar, I think of a typical Wiccan altar with the precise layout, which Lunar Wisdom will know more about than I. But when we generally all have an altar, but what is the real purpose of an altar, and what is the difference between an altar and a shrine? Because some people are like, I have an ancestor altar, I have an altar for the spirits, I have an altar that I do magic at. Like, what the fuck is an altar supposed to be? And Lunar, before you tell me, it's whatever you want it to be. I want a real answer. Okay.
I just
Go.
when I set mine up, I just used it as a, this is a place that I can designate for my working.
Okay, so my question to you is, why do you need an altar then? Like, why set one up? Why not just put it on a desk and be like, I'm gonna burn some incense?
No. Yeah, well, you've never seen my altar, nor will anybody. But no, mine, I set it up for the purpose, and once the purpose is met, it's gone.
You also realize Oklahoma's a 22-hour drive from me, so I can easily see your altar.
No, you won't.
Not
He's
now.
sharing with you, Adam. Don't you get it?
This live chat is a clusterfuck. But okay, so we've got one person who sets up an altar for a specific purpose. What is the purpose of your altar, Lunar Wisdom? Because it's just sitting there doing nothing.
Well, right now it's not doing nothing, but it was doing something earlier.
Kinky.
It's a working altar. It's a place that I do my working. It is a place of focus, and the reason why I don't just throw it up on a desk. I could, but the altar has a purpose itself. It always has. It's like any other. It's a tool, and it's only a tool. It is not required, but I like it and I use it. So you don't. Well, I'm sorry. I don't need an altar. I want an altar. It's something I choose to work with.
You were about to say you don't need an altar, which is true.
You don't need. Well, I don't know. You might need one.
Okay, well, yeah.
I don't know what you need. Only you
need
know
a
what
lot.
you need.
I need dick.
You need a dick? Go, everyone. Adam needs a dick.
Oh God, he's going to get a whole lot of he's going to get a whole lot of care packages with dildos in them.
Right?
Now, just somebody pay for my Pornhub subscription. I'll be
There
fine.
you go. He needs a subscription to a dick.
I think there's a certain moon in Seattle. I'll take that.
Oh, there is. Crimson. It's no longer in Seattle.
It moved?
It
I thought
moved.
it just moved to a suburb of Seattle.
It did, but it's not in Seattle proper anymore.
Oh.
It's in a suburb. You're right.
Well, whatever. I'll take what I can get. I can stop there and then come over to your place for breakfast.
Okay.
I hope the specific moon never watches this.
I don't know if the moon watches.
Thank God. I hope
I
not.
don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to ask either.
Don't.
I'm not gonna.
There's a lot of sexual harassment going on here, and I can only deal with one lawsuit at a time. I've got one from her husband. Don't worry, we're working it out.
Wait, what?
Okay, but so like when I think of like altars, like I literally think of a Wiccan altar, and every book that you can buy on the subject of witchcraft. I'm not saying every book out there, but when you go to your local bookstore, which is where most people go, it's Wicca based. So as an ex-Wiccan, if you will, did you have a specific Wiccan altar?
No, mine never was following anybody's fucking diagram, even when I was Wiccan.
What about when you were in a coven?
No, we had our own setup.
Oh.
It was loosely based, but I never got why they did certain things on that altar and the way that they did them. It never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I have an altar, but I
do?
Yes, I do.
Your floor, right?
What? No, I do. I have one that nobody sees because it's in my room and it's where I keep most of my workings. Because some certain kind of solitary said showing your altar on social media is bad. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mrs. Vabalots. And I mean, I agree. It is bad to show your altar. I mean, I downsized mine because it was just it was too much. There was so much crap going on. I mean, it was a great working space. I could sprawl out with my herbs and everything. But at the same time, it was taking up so much space. And I was like, I don't really use this particular altar a lot. So
you took all the flowers and rainbows and glitter off of it?
Yeah, and the dildos.
Damn.
I know. Now that sits on there as a flashlight. I'm just kidding.
Ooh, upgraded batteries.
Wait, what was the flashlight?
Gives that extra charge. You don't have batteries in your flashlight?
I said flashlight.
Yeah, flashlight.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Are you Christian now?
Wow.
We drove him to it.
Yeah.
Did he see Jesus Christ? He sounded like he was praying.
I would like to use this live chat to
Amen.
I'm a Christian and everything you people are doing is wrong and I have to go write a blog post that somebody will make a fucking series about because they got nothing better to do with their life.
Uh-oh. Everybody heard it here first. Adam is turning Christian.
Oh God.
He's going to denounce his practice, his YouTube, and everything he shared with us. And now he's going to do his testimonial.
I wonder how many people are going to take that seriously.
I know. Unsubscribe. There goes your subscriptions.
Oh, there's going to be some response videos about it now.
Oh my God, I know. I'm going to do one. I'm going to do a VR. I'm going to do a VR to Adam the Witchy Show's testimonial denouncing.
Oh my God. If you did that, the entire fucking internet would explode.
I know, we're going to break the internets.
You would break the witchy community. You would like Lady Grave Dancer would come out of her fucking grave where she's dancing and she'd be like, I fucking knew it.
I know.
And Cindy Lou
He always seemed too Christian to me.
Well, on a serious note, I do like.
He worked with those saints. Oh my God.
I would hate if either of you were drinking. This would be so much worse. This would be so much worse.
Oh my God, someone in chat said you're possessed.
Yes, I'm possessed. This is why I don't pay attention to chat. You're all idiots.
Flamboyant, Fearin, Lilith, Satan, Sex, Witch, Set Witch, not sex. What the fuck? Set Witch said, "Ah, yeah, right. Christians would never It says aspect, but I think she means or he respect your gay ass. Christians would never respect your gay ass."
This is what I have to say to
the finger time.
Well, this altar chat is going nowhere.
What?
You heard me.
No, I didn't. I was too busy saying pussy.
I'm not a pussy.
No, I said, lady, you gave the finger, and I said, ooh, finger time. Ladies, hide your pussies.
Ew. Ew. I was hoping this would be like a serious chat, and then I realized that I got two sickos.
Well, if
someone said, watch your gay butt.
Yeah.
My butt is off limits, thank
No,
you.
I was just going to say that, you said that for the gals to hide their pussies, the guys need to hide their
butts.
Yes, every man needs to hide their ass as long as they're attractive.
Adam's pulling out his fingers.
This video is gonna get demonetized and like deleted, and like I'm gonna get a strike, and like my subscriber count right now is probably at 10.
Adam, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
Yes, I have. The Lord is my Savior. The Lord of my fucking dick. I make Jesus Christ bounce every night. Not for 10 Hail Marys, I do Jesus. I think somewhere we were talking about altars. I don't remember anymore.
You were talking about how you removed all the glitter and the flowers and the rainbows from your.
Oh, that's right. And you had the flashlight on your altar.
Yeah, a flashlight with no batteries.
Back when I was friends with a troll, with people who use those fake candles.
I know I need some oxygen. Oh.
I need some like fucking vodka.
I don't need any. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
I like how it's supposed to be wine and witches and nobody's drinking. Like,
we don't need the wine.
No, I think the last thing we all need is alcohol at this point.
I think what we should do is every other month we should just combine Back to Basics with wine and witches and just make a fuckery. Fuckery. What was in the last one? I was more of a lesbian than Ember Honeyraven will ever be.
Oh yeah,
it's true.
Well, you've got 3 pussies every night.
What can I say? I like having 3-ways with furry, bushy pussies.
Someone just called us sickos. I'm sad.
Fuck them. Not literally, okay? You have. Have you guys ever seen? Okay, both of you know who Lady Grave Dancer is, obviously. But did you ever watch her Graveyard Dirt chats?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what this has turned into.
Oh, I didn't think they were this much fun.
Her early ones were this much fun. When they started...
Oh, maybe I didn't see the early ones. Because the ones I saw were more like, I mean, they were a chat and they were a talk, but they were very educational.
Yeah, like what I have found, and this is not a dig at Graveyard Dirt Chat or Lady Grave Dancer or Wednesday in any way, but in my opinion, what I noticed is that before, when they were more podcast-like, where you didn't see their faces and they weren't really interacting with chat, it was fun. And then when they moved over to like what we're doing and they were interacting with chat a lot, it just got less fun. I was like, where's the inside jokes and the humor? Where'd it go? What happened?
I don't know.
I say we
Oh, someone corrected me. They didn't call us sickos. They asked sickos, question mark, question mark. Although, you know what is confusing, honestly, sometimes is that the chat has like this delay, like they're commenting on something we already said.
Oh, yeah. So there's a new feature that you can turn on that I didn't turn on. But there's a new feature in when you set up an event for a live chat, it's the latency. And you can do real-time latency where the chat is up to date with what you're saying. Because the chat, like everybody watching right now, will be a few seconds or behind us.
I know.
That's why, yeah. But I never turn on that latency thing because then the quality of the video would go straight downhill.
Oh, no. Okay, so no. He said sickos. I was asking. Yeah, see, she was asking sickos about like who's the sickos, I guess. And I don't even remember what you said was sickos. Do you? I mean, that was so last year. I
feel like you'll wake up in the morning and you'll turn on this live chat to see what was all said.
Fuck.
And then you'll sit there and then you'll message me and be like, "Can you delete the live chat?"
I know, seriously, right?
and I'll be like, "Can you go fuck yourself?" And you'll delete me on Facebook, and I'll make a hate video about you. And
oh God! And the drama will start. And then what are we gonna do about the series? I just won't make any more videos on the series because I'm not done yet.
See, this is all a bunch of clusterfuckery.
No, he said sickos. I was asking. He said I go live and I have 2 sickos. Oh, I go live and have 2 sickos. Oh. We're sickos? I don't even know. I'm so confused. Forget it. Move on.
See, this is why I never pay attention to chat because it's confusing as fuck and I don't care.
Oh, he said you heard it. It's not me being the bitch. It's him saying he doesn't fucking care.
Okay, can you talk into your mic a little more? I mean, can we get some ASMR going on?
Will, all right.
Are you gonna lick the mic while you're at it?
No, not right now. You
Thank
can
God.
see it anyway. It's over there.
But no, okay, so like this is what I've noticed on my videos because I've just been releasing trailers for some stupid reason. But nobody's commenting on any of my content anymore. And like
because it's trailers. What do you want them to say about your trailers?
I want them to be excited.
Sexy, kinky, awesome. It's a trailer.
Everybody needs to shut the fuck up because kinky is my word.
I know it's your word. That's why I was using it. Kinky.
Get your own word.
No, I'm going to use kinky. Kinky.
I hate you.
Because it's kinky.
No.
No, it's not kinky. It's unkinky.
Oh, God, you're ruining my life.
Uh-huh. Yep. Kinky.
Okay, if anybody in the chat has any questions about anything we talked about tonight, ask them now.
There's 17 in chat right now.
Oh, my fucking God.
You're wondering.
Is Cindy Lou Who in chat?
No, well, I don't know. I don't see... I wish I could see the people who are watching, even though they're not chatting. You know,
all of them are Cindy Lou Who.
Oh, then I'm confused. Kinky.
You're using the word wrong.
There's no wrong way to use any word. Kinky.
There is a wrong way to use a word, and it's all of the racial slurs. I think that's called a wrong way to use the word.
Well, you're going to use kinky as a racial slur?
Yes, all white people are kinky. We're not crackers anymore. We're kinky.
No, Karen, I cannot deep throat the mic.
What the fuck?
And you want to know the good thing? I know Karen. I know Karen personally. Karen has been to my house in Massachusetts. I know Karen. Karen, no deep throating the mic for you, my dear. Oh, he's deep throating for you, Karen.
I was like, the fuck is going on in chat?
No, I know her. I know her personally.
Like, horrified.
just figured I'd throw that out there because I know you know that you didn't know that I know her, and that sounds like just some troll being mean to me. But
Oh.
Either that or somebody with a fetish.
true, Karen, you have a fetish about mics.
That's a skinny dick.
Actually, I mean, this mic is pretty big.
Oh, is that the Blue Yeti?
Yes, it is.
I want to get one. How do you like it?
I love it.
Can you deep throat it?
No, Karen. No. Yes, it's the Blue Yeti. Yes.
Oh. I want to make an ASMR video where all I do is attempt to deep throat the mic.
Oh yeah, we talked about doing ASMR.
Yeah, I was saying that Ember Honeyraven said that some of my videos, when I do like voiceover, kind of sounds like ASMR because I talk really closely to the mic and in a very calm tone. And it's like, the fuck? Like, that's not really okay. Sure. I'll get kinky with a mic.
Yeah, get a Yeti Blue and you can do some.
I'm actually thinking of getting the Blue Yeti because it's supposed to be one of the better mics.
Yeah, that's why I got it, because my son, you know.
And they're cheap.
It wasn't too cheap when I got it. I've had it for a while now.
I paid like $100 and something. Like, I think I saw one for $160.
Honestly, I actually can't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
Oh.
But yeah, my son said, "Mom, get this mic." I'm like, okay. "Mom, get this webcam." Okay.
Mom, get this computer. It's crap. You don't know anything about computers.
My husband built my computer, so
Yeah.
although it's outdated now, I need a better computer. But
I'm sure he could just upgrade parts of it. It'd be way cheaper.
yeah, I need a better processor. So yeah.
Do either of you use Graveyard Dirt?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask a witchy question since we're so far
We
off.
kind of like gone off the way. We were talking about altars.
Yes, I know. And then I just assumed we gave up on that topic because we started talking about dildos and fleshlights.
So Luana's Corner said, "Just as a viewer, I feel unimportant to Adam now, honestly."
Are you fucking kidding me? I respond to every single comment on my videos. Maybe if these people would comment on my videos more, they'd be more important.
Yeah, Luana's Corner.
Okay, wait, does she own that corner? Like, does she put people on that corner? Like, this is a serious question.
I don't know. She's gonna hate you even more now.
Like, are you a madam?
Luana, he's asking, not me.
I can see her sitting there in her living room watching this, being like, "I'm gonna fucking kill this bitch."
Lewis says she needs to get over it.
I don't understand why the chat is mad at me. Like, I respond.
No, they were mad at me, Luana, and I think someone else, because they felt like I wasn't giving you their questions. Although there wasn't really a lot of questions, there were more comments.
This is the thing that I've noticed. Oh, so I don't know if you've noticed this, Lunar Wisdom, but I have. With all of my live chats, nobody asks a single question at all. It's just statements. And sometimes I'll have
conversations between them. And I'm fine with that.
And then it's interesting that they are, or maybe they're not actually, but if they are upset that I'm not like interacting with them, it's like, wait, I respond to every single one of your comments on all of my videos, and none of you have been commenting on any of my videos lately. So I'm like, what's to interact with? Like, I'm confused. And I didn't think I'd have 17 people fucking sitting in my live chat, you know, watching this video, laughing their asses off and having orgasms because their husband touched their clitoris for the first time in 6 months.
Shamanic Arawak priestess.
Oh, she's always around. I love her.
She wants to know if there's a difference between a shrine and an altar.
This is what I was asking you ladies at the beginning before we went way off topic, because as I had already mentioned hours ago, there are people on YouTube and social media and whatever tend to have an altar where they do their working. They have an ancestor altar and they have a spirit altar or whatever other kind of altar. And I know, like, for example, like Lady Gravedancer has like 50,000 altars throughout her house, including an ancestor one. So I'm like, okay, wait, what is the actual difference between an altar and a shrine? And why do we keep calling what, like, an ancestor altar is technically a shrine? So why do we keep calling it an altar when we're not doing workings at it? Because my interpretation of what an altar is, it is a magical space in which you do magical workings at. And a shrine is somewhere that you go to give thanks or to honor or to pay respects to. So, like, are we using the words wrong in the community when we say ancestor altar and we should actually be saying ancestor shrine? Or, like, what's the deal?
Well, I mean, definition wise, a shrine has a relic. So, I mean, if you don't have a relic, you know, at your altar space, then you really technically don't have a shrine.
So what about ancestor altars where they've got all these pictures and things of their
well, do they have a relic? And I guess then you need to define what a relic is.
Exactly.
For you. Because for me, I mean, a relic would be, personally, I mean, if I'm thinking about the traditional sense of what a relic is, it would be, you know, like a bone or some belonging, like actual belonging, or of the holy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, like I think, because I, you know, was Roman Catholic growing up, I think of the shrine, St. Anne's Shrine. There was a bone of St. Anne at St. Anne's Shrine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't have a bone. I don't think I would call any of my altars or ever a shrine. It just, for me, it's a very specific thing. And again, that's because of my past. That's because of my history, you know?
Right.
So I don't know.
I think some people, if they have an area set aside where they have pictures, you know, of a beloved relative that had died, you know, they might have something that belonged to them, you know, pocket watch or something or whatever, with their picture, and then maybe have candles or, you know, however they set it up, you know, they might refer to that as a shrine, but I don't see where they could call it an altar, because an altar, the definition of an altar is a place where you do workings.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you are invoking that ancestor spirit to help you, aid you in the working, then I don't know how that could be considered an altar.
Yeah, like that's what really confuses me, because when I think of an ancestor altar, I think of a place where you've got pictures of your grandparents and your parents and so on and so forth, like all the dead people. And I think of a place that you go and you honor and you respect them. I consider that a shrine. I don't consider that an altar. And in using your example, Solitary, I would say that if you're invoking an ancestor, you might bring something of theirs from the ancestor shrine to your working altar to invoke the energies and so on and so forth. So it actually confuses me in the witchy community when I hear everybody saying, I've got all these different types of altars, when I really would just want to reach out to them and be like, wait, do you mean you have 1 or 2 or 3 working altars? I don't know why you have more than one, but that's your prerogative. And then you have a bunch of shrines? Like,
well, when I was Wiccan, going on your premise of your definitions, when I was Wiccan back in the house in Massachusetts, I had my main altar. When I was a non-traditional Wiccan, I had my main altar, and I did workings at my main altar. And I used that for most of our rituals. However, I had an ancestor altar where I did do my workings with my beloved dead.
Okay.
And I did it at that altar. That was because I didn't continuously work with my beloved dead all the time. Now I do.
Yeah.
So it's different. But when I had, you know, specific gods, goddesses, and spirit allies I worked with at my main altar, but my beloved dead, I had a specific altar that I did specific workings at.
Yeah. And speaking of, so like in that particular case, it's your ancestor altar would have been less of a shrine and more of an actual altar because you're doing workings at it, which makes sense. Like when you want to call it an ancestor altar. But I feel like in the witchy community, a lot of people get it wrong because, I mean, I don't know what their practice is personally. Maybe they are doing a bunch of ancestral workings at their ancestral altar. But from what I've seen, a lot of them seem to throw the word altar around when they may mean shrine.
Mm.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing you see with the way that people use the word grimoire with Book of Shadows.
Yes.
They you know they kind of muddy the waters in what they mean.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, whatever makes them happy to call it, but I know that my definition is probably different than some of theirs.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But I think a lot of the terminology is just a case of people, they get used to hearing it called one thing, so they think that's what it should be called.
Yeah. I agree.
And then
Luis Gonzalez wants to know what the difference is between invoking and evoking.
I'll let you answer that because I don't even know. I mix up the differences all the time.
Well, I think, first of all, I'd have to ask what point of view, what perspective are you working? Are you an occultist or are you a Wiccan or witch? What
is there really a difference though?
Yeah. Huh?
Is there really a difference between being an occultist and say like a practicing?
Yes, because if you're coming from an occult perspective, then your invoking is going to be different than your evoking. They're going to be switched. From a Wiccan perspective or a non-traditional Wiccan perspective, invoking is calling spirits into you like a possession. You're calling in to your physical vessel an entity from the outside. That's from a Wiccan perspective. From an occultist perspective, invoking is invoking the spirits out, like already in you. You're invoking them into your space. You're taking them from inside and you're pulling them out and you're invoking them into your space. But from a Wiccan perspective, you're taking from out and pulling it in.
Yeah.
From a Wiccan perspective, evoking is calling entities into your space from the outside. They're in your space, not within you. From the occultist perspective, because they look at circles differently, they invoke a spirit into a circle. You're not standing in that circle. It's the different perspective. So it really depends.
See, I think the dictionary does not switch both of those around.
I don't know what the dictionary says. Invoking, does it even suggest that you could use them interchangeably? Because
I've never looked up the dictionary definition.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I just know that from talking to people who are just occultists and they wouldn't identify as a witch, and being in the witchcraft community, they look at it differently too. So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
See, that's how you use the word kinky. My God.
Kinky.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Whatever. All right, fine. Whatever.
You're doing
whatever. Fuck you. Whatever.
I quit. I'm done.
All right, I'm done. I'm gonna read chat.
So the last question I had on altars will actually play on both of you because Solitary has talked about this a few times with me privately. I don't know if we've ever talked about it publicly. But as you can see behind you, Miss Lunar, your altar is visible to the sphere of the internet. So the thing that we had talked about before is that showing off your altar or anything that involves your altar in the online sphere gives attackers or would-be attackers an easier way to fuck with anything you're doing because they visualize your altar. They see that it's set up the same way every time, so it's easy to visualize it. It's easy to do anything that you're doing there. That's why I wrap a lot of my workings in aluminum foil, or I don't keep them on that altar. I keep them on a separate private altar that's never shown. So I'm just wondering, what is your guys' thoughts on, I already know Solitary's, but what is your guys' thoughts on showing your altar off publicly and doing workings at your altar like I've done and so many other witches have done? Like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, where is the line of privacy in your craft? And like, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but is there such a thing as showing too much, and does the altar fall into that sphere?
In my experience, you know, what I was always taught was that, you know, there are things that are meant to be kept secret. Things are meant to be kept quiet. And the hazard with showing your altars is like, especially when you show too much of a working, okay? Where you leave nothing, you know, you're putting it all out there, you know, and that where things that you might, you know, because, you know, you can show how to do a working without having to show everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you show too much, you know, like wording you use in, you know, when you're putting your energy in, you know, anything that is, you know, basically too much being going out there. If there was someone who had real talent, you know, I was always taught that they can mess with that. But, you know, it was just the way that I was raised to believe.
I think all the talent in the community is in this live chat right now. A little shade.
But you know, I do think there is definitely a point where it's sharing too much. But I think that is something that is up to the individual.
Yeah.
To decide, you know, what is the line that you have that you will not cross.
Yeah. What about you, Lunar? What are your thoughts?
First of all, I'd have to say, bring it on. But my altar is not always the same, so it changes. So I'm not too worried about people knowing exactly what it looks like, because it doesn't always look the same all the time. And I do think, I mean, I'm trying to hold on. I have to think about all the videos I have up. I normally don't share an actual working. I think I may still have one video up where my husband and I were doing a ritual spell for his birthday. But even in that, the actual incantation was not shared.
I was gonna say, I have that one working video up that I really, really like, and it's like a Wiccan ritual. And I think your
daughter's birth. Oh, is it my daughter's coming of age?
No, I don't.
Because that one's still up.
No, it was like it was really dark in the room, and like you rung the bell, and then she rung the bell, and somebody else rung the bell, and you were saying things, and then somebody else was saying things, and it's a really fascinating, captivating video. But it's dark in the sense that it's not well lit, but you can tell it's a Wiccan altar, because you talk about opening the quarters, and you ring the bell.
I can't remember. I'm almost sure, and I could be wrong. It's been a while. Some of those videos have been up for years.
Yeah,
there's usually something that is kept private.
Yeah.
So in general, even with and I hate to plug it, but I'm going to plug it again. Even in the series that you and I are doing, I do demonstrations. I say, this is a demonstration. This is something I could do or may have done or might do, but I don't show you my invocation or evocation. I say, at this point, I would do an evocation, but I don't share that.
Yeah.
Because I think not necessarily, I'm not afraid of someone looking at what I did and trying to come out to get me, because like I said, bring it on, bitch. But I just think some of that is just my shit. I don't want to share it with you. I don't want to give away my good shit. I'll give you my secondhand shit, but I don't want to share my good shit with everybody. You know, it's just, and it's not because I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It's special.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, I've kind of taken the approach that the Lady Grave Dancer does it, and like applied that to a lot of the working videos that I share, because all of the working videos that I've done are actual workings that I'm doing. Like, I don't really do the demonstration thing, because I don't like wasting ingredients and stuff like that. So I'll actually, like, if I want to teach somebody or show somebody a working or inspire somebody, like I did in the entire month of March, you know, I'll do the videos, but 90% of it's like left out. All the things that I'm saying, the intentions I'm putting in, like the title of the video, like a powerful black salt, will probably give you the idea of like, okay, what are we doing? We're making a black salt. But I don't explain why it's powerful. I don't tell you, okay, now I'm calling on Ashtaroth or the goddess. I don't tell you that now I'm possessed because I'm EA wedding and I'm in a graveyard that's really actually fake and I'm coked out, you know, all that other stuff. Like, I don't do all of that. But, you know, like, it got me thinking because of what Solitary had said about keeping things private. And it kind of got me thinking about, like, am I sharing too much? But I don't think I am.
No.
Although I did used to work at my altar and like record everything at my altar, which I don't anymore because it's not big enough, for one. And for two, that's, you know, I've basically been told by the spirits, like, don't do that.
Well, with the sharing of the, you know, the altars and things like that, it's more a case of, you know, let's face it, you know, our path and that is something that is sacred to us.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, you don't want to just throw it out there for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of things, you know, you can show a process, but for, you know, someone could go, even if you had the incantations in there, they could do everything verbatim, exactly the way you do. But if their energy isn't the same as yours,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work for them.
Exactly.
You give them enough to give them the process, but they have to put something of themselves into it in order for it to really be effective.
Yeah.
And that, but with the, but like with the, you know, some of the things about the sharing of the altar, you know, like, you know, where I'm just like really reticent to do it, you know, it comes from the fact that, you know, when I first started this, you know, this was something that was highly ridiculed. There was a lot of persecution for it. And so you learn to keep things very hidden, very quiet. And there was, and, you know, at this, you know, in your normal day-to-day life, without, you know, without social media, you don't have to worry about it as much. You know, but putting it out there on social media, there's a lot of eyes seeing it. And you have to decide for yourself, at what point is this now starting to take away some of what's precious to me?
Yeah.
And that's where you have to figure out where that line is. And that line is going to be different for every person.
I think
it definitely is. Because my thought too is, I mean, it's going to depend on your mundane life. Like, what kind of job do you have? What is your family situation? You know, who is watching your social media? I mean, are you using your real name? Are you using a pseudonym? Are you showing your face? Are you not? I mean, I think you have to, like you said, it's really dependent on each individual, and you have to determine that for yourself.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that, depending on the person, I don't really know who everybody is, but I think, from my own opinion, especially with working with the goddess, she's not overly picky about this, but some people, in what I've read, have stated that she kind of is. If you have an altar that has something to do with her specifically on it, and you're showing it off, it can come across as disrespectful. So on that note, I wonder if there is also a respect line that gets crossed when people are so publicly sharing everything about their craft. Because not only does it, because there's three ways to look at this. There's the whole, I want validation, so I'm going to share everything about my craft. There's the whole, are you even taking your craft seriously if you're showing everything, including your altar, publicly? Like, do you take any part of it seriously? Because, you know, witchcraft isn't just about, you know, live chats and talking and spell work. It's also about shutting the fuck up and listening to the world around you and, like, you know, introspection. But the other thing is like, what about the respect to your deities or your god or goddess or whatever? Like, if you're constantly being like, oh, look, I'm working with Hecate and this is her beautiful altar. Like, I mean, maybe Hecate said to show it off, but, you know, maybe she also didn't, and you're just doing it because you want attention. So, like, you know, like, there's three aspects that play into this, and it's like, how much of it is validation? How much of it is attention seeking? How much of it is taking it seriously? And how much of it is a respectful thing? You know, I know, like, with Saint Expedite and certain demons, you know, in order for them to feel like they've been thanked properly for servicing you or for helping you, they want to be publicly talked about. Like, Saint Expedite loves it when you basically advertise that he helped you with whatever the situation was. But I also know that some other entities and spirits and demons and so on and so forth hate it. And if you talk about them or you share anything about them, they'll get pissy. And I've had that firsthand a couple of times. Hello, Bridget, how are you doing? And it's just like, where's the line? Or is this another, it's up to everybody in their respective beliefs? Like, is that an acceptable answer? Is it really up to people and their beliefs? Because where's the respect if everybody's just like, well, you know, it's up to me, so I want to share it. And it's like,
well, if they have been working with someone who does not want that stuff shared, but they're sharing it anyway because they need the validation or whatever, and that you know, they will be dealt with by that entity in some way. Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, there's certain ones out there that would you know, spirits them that are like, oh, you want me to continue helping you? Good luck. You know, and you know, and they do have a way to make their selves very known on what they feel about it. But the other thing too is we have to be very careful in the fact, you know, there's so many that I see that copy what someone else is doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, if you're just learning, it's like, you know, you've mentioned the Scott Cunningham books, how when you first started out, it gave you the basics.
Yeah.
Of what rituals were and how things, you can do them. In sharing what we do, and that we have to be careful to, that people don't think that we're saying this is the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
You know, that if you don't have things set up exactly like this with these materials, then your stuff's not going to work. And I have seen some videos where it's like they'll say that a goddess works with them really well because she has the altar set up exactly like this, and this is why she works with her, and the unspoken assumption that she is pushing out there is that you have to have if you want to work with that goddess, you have to have your altar set up exactly like this, or she's going to ignore you.
Yes.
And that's not the case. You know, that very well may not be the case at all. And so this is where, you know, you got to have a relationship with your deity. If you're going to set up an altar to that deity, you have to have a relationship with them, and they will let you know what they want. If there's something that they want you to have on there, and that, or if you're looking at books or something that tells you, oh, well, this deity likes these things, and they're saying, no, I don't. Yeah, on your altar, I don't want that on the altar you have for me.
Yeah.
Then they're going to let you know, but you have to have that relationship first.
Yeah, like one of the things that I've seen is that some people who work with Hecate assume or put out there that Hecate needs an all black or all white altar, and you have to have hellhounds and or dogs, black dogs on there and stuff like this. And then there are other people, like I was reading on Reddit the other day where there was this heated discussion about Hecate, and somebody was like, no, her altar for me is all blue with like lavender flowers and all this other stuff. And people were like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not how you're supposed to do it. And that got me thinking, like, I know we've talked about the relationship with deities and stuff like that before, but that got me thinking, like, is there a right or wrong way to set up an altar? And the obvious answer should be no. But for some reason, we have this misconception where there is a right or wrong way. And I'm curious as to why and who said.
I don't know the why, or I think it's just a matter of, you know, I think that if you see a lot of people using a similar layout, and that for a deity that you follow,
yeah,
then you just assume that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. Okay, Dokley, is there any more questions in the chat?
Yes, Shamanic Arawak Priestess wants to know, do you feel it's okay to share what spirits or deities we work with publicly?
It depends upon the deity. I mean, the particular deity I work with has been bugging me for months to share publicly about my relationship with this particular deity, but I've been very hesitant because I know this fucking community. I mean, it really depends upon your relationship with your deity. That's my answer.
I agree. And, you know, that even ties in with the whole altar thing. I mean, your relationship with your deities or spirits, knowing and being honest with yourself about you, about yourself as witch, as well as what your relationship is with your spirits, deities, whatever it is that you work with. If you'll know whether you're sharing these things, if it's out of egotism, if it's out of the necessity to feel validated, or if you're sharing it because you've been directed to do so. But you really got to be honest with yourself. You got to, and that's part of being witch, to know yourself. You need to know that. And if you're not being honest with yourself, you're going to get bitch slapped.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Solitary Luna said, if you're going to do something that your deities or your spirits don't want you doing and you're doing it anyways, duck down and hide, because it's going to come back to you and from their direction. They just walk away and say, oh, yeah, well, I'm not helping you anymore, bitch.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're lucky, you'll do it after they have finished helping you with the working, because otherwise they can stop the progress real fast.
Exactly. They may even take away what they help you get. If you're doing something really against what your relationship is about, maybe your relationship is a very private, intimate relationship, and you're being told not to share anything. The fact that you're even working with them or you even have knowledge about them, and you start blabbing your mouth on YouTube, everything that deity or spirit gave you or helped you attain can be taken back just as easily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the last question that I had for you is, do you guys have any special ways of cleaning or cleansing your altars?
I use Florida water, and then I have a little ritual. I'm not going to share that, but I use Florida water, and I do a little ritual to cleanse the altar, and then I have something else in consecrating it. But I never reconsecrate an altar once it's been consecrated, unless it's been desecrated. But that's very unusual for my altar to be desecrated.
Yeah. And then, sorry, go on.
Oh, I have a specific way I do it, but it's not something I want to share.
No, it's fine. I didn't want you guys to share anything private.
Yeah. If I don't want to share something, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fine. I'm not going to tell people how I clean or protect my altar. Which does lead me into the question of, and you don't have to share anything about how you do it, but do you protect your altars?
protect
Yeah.
it. I mean, my altar is in my home and my home is warded.
Yeah.
So nothing's getting through that shit. So,
Yeah, because the reason I ask is because whenever I cleanse and clean and throw up and redo up the protections around my place, I also will throw up protections around both of my altars, not for any specific reason, and I won't get into how I do that, but I do that only because if somebody does manage to get through the first line of defense, then, and if there's something on the altar that they want to get to or try and fuck with, they're going to have to go through another line of defense, if that makes any sense.
yeah, I'm not worried about them getting through the first one.
I have the home protected, but as far as like, the actual altar area, and that I don't worry about that as much. For similar reasons to what Lunar Wisdom was saying, if you got good protections elsewhere, your altar is going to be pretty well protected. But if I'm doing a working like out in nature, that's when I would have protection around the altar, because that's not within the area of protection in my home.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, if there are no more questions.
They want to know flamboyant, Fearin, Lilith, Satan, Set, Witch. Adam, tell us who your deities are and who your patron and matron demons are.
I was working with Ashtaroth, but we've severed ties. Not for any particular reason. I can still call upon him and still work with him. It's just we weren't getting anything out of our relationship, so we decided to go a different way. And then as for the goddess, that'll come later, much later. Much later.
That's it.
Is that all the questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So I'd like to take this opportunity, because we're almost 2.5 hours in now,
Holy shit. What did I do? Stay on for this long? What the fuck?
Well,
you just 5 hours. At least it wasn't 5 hours.
Did we ever have a 5-hour chat? I don't think so.
It sure seems like it.
Not a live chat. We've had like 3 or 4. But then we did have a 5-hour one once, and then we cut it down to 3 because it was way too fucking long.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there will be no Back to Basics chat this month because Lunar Wisdom is a special guest, and there won't be one next month because we are doing our chat about our series at some point before.
Yeah, we have it scheduled. It's on my channel.
Yeah, because I'm sick of my channel. And then next month it'll be back to Beyond the Cauldron, and then you know how this shit works, people.
Oh, doggy. Hello.
So yeah, I'd like to thank Lunar Wisdom for being my special guest and Solitary Luna for being here.
I was special.
Maybe you're special with a certain capital letter. Oh, it's a puppy.
Yeah. It's my baby girl. It's my baby girl.
Oh, she's so precious.
Yeah, she's the one that interferes with when we're private chatting, and
I just want to know. That's fine. She's so precious now. Wait, I want to see if I can bring this precious beast.
Oh gosh, he's collecting pussies now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a pussy. This pussy isn't my pussy. Wait, we need to go back to me. Where's me?
Meow, meow.
This isn't my pussy. This is my friend's pussy. Her name is Fudgy, but I call her
Squeaky.
She's so squeezies. She's like, please let me go.
Mm-hmm.
No, okay, so he's not just stroking his own pussies. He's
stroking other people's pussies too.
I'm gonna eat this pussy.
Oh no. Yeah, kinky.
Oh, you people are disgusting. Okay, I'm gonna hit stop broadcast now because fuck everybody.